Hi friends, my name is Cat Kerr and I'm a mixed media artist and I'm also a licensed designer for Sizzix. Now last year I had my first release with Sizzix Studio, and if you don't know, Sizzix collaborated with color giant Royal Talens. I've been an ambassador for Royal Talens for a couple of years and I love Amsterdam acrylic paints. And these are the paints that I'm going to be using today and I use in my everyday practice. So last year I was invited along with artist Vic Hollins to design sets to go with the new release Sizzix Studio. And today I'm so excited to share that I have four new designs to share with you today, and I'm going to talk about all of them and show them to you in just a sec. But I'm also going to be creating a journal spread, and I did things a little bit different today. I decided to use what was in front of me at the time. So whatever was on my work table, on my workstation, that's what I used in my journal spread. Did I make it work? I don't know. You're going to have to wait and see. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about the new designs. Thanks for being here. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, I'm going to be using what I have on hand at my work table when I create that journal page. But before we get to that, I just want to quickly share with you the new sets that are coming out. I'm so excited to show these to you. The first set we have, this one's called Strength in Numbers. And as you can see, I mentioned in the intro, you get 3 different stencils as well as 1 complete stamp set. And I love this particular set because I love numbers. One thing you'll always find in my work, it's either going to be individual letters or words and numbers. Love them. And the focal on this stamp set is this guy right here, and he's just a collage of different elements that include numbers, stars, some grungy background, and some of my handwriting. And I just love all of the different elements. Again, for the most part relating to numbers, but I love it when I'm layering different shapes and sizes of things. That's pretty fun. The next one that I have is called Ad Astra, which is Latin for to the stars, and it says it right here in the stamp set. And this one does not have as many stamps as the other sets because I wanted this focal to be large. I love space exploration. I wanted this one to really pop on the page, and so it has that main element, which is the astronaut, and those pillars coming from the back, as well as some elements. And these are the 3 stencils that are with this set, and this is the first set that I have that is actually a layered stencil, but you don't have to use it that way. I actually encourage you to try it both ways, as a layered stencil and as individual stencils. That's always fun too. So this is the second one. And this is the third one, and this set is called the Ours Have It. And what I love about this set and why I chose that as the title is because this stamp right over here, it's a bunch of different words that are just really beautiful words like release, renew, restart, rebirth, repair, respect, relax, rise. I love using all of those words. There are also other words like unfolding and breathe, and you have 2 different size feathers on there, as well as this watercolor moth, which I thought was just absolutely wonderful. Of course, my signature squiggly line with a little heart on the side, and these are the 3 stencils that go with this set. And lastly, this one's called Feed Your Soul. And this one has a pretty large focal as well. It's the lady with all of the florals around her. This one has more of a vintage vibe to it. It has some vintage ephemera and some vintage text, as well as some of my current phrases that I love to use. Feed your soul, do what you love. There's a couple of numbers and some mark making stamps in there as well. And these are the 3 different designs that come with the set, and I absolutely love them. Now let's get started on that journal page. Now, when it comes to art journaling, or at least the early stages of art journaling, when I'm creating those layers, there really isn't a lot of thought going on. I just want to cover these pages and I want to enjoy the products that I'm using and having fun. And so I decided to just go ahead and pick up these two colors that I had already on my table, and I'm applying them to the blank page using the Sizzix Effects a palette knife, and this is the longer one, and I'm just applying it. I'm not covering the entire page. I'm just looking to add some color and add something that will start me on my journey. Now, as I get ready to use my registration press, I'm going to pull out some foam wedges that I created. These are just 1/4 inch foam with a 1-ply, 2-ply, 3-ply, and I use them to level out my journal so that it's not lopsided. And these come in pretty handy, and it's a pretty simple fix for a lopsided journal. Now, as I mentioned, I'm using what I have in front of me, and what I have in front of me is a stack of all of the stencils. They're not separated by set. It's just a stack of them, and so I picked out some that I want to use on my journal page, the ones that are talking to me right now, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of titanium white into the colors that are already existing on my palette. And this is going to ensure that the colors are all going to blend nicely together. I'm using the same colors. I'm just adding a little bit of a white to it to make it a little bit lighter and to create a different tint. And I'm using the blender tool to apply that acrylic color through the stencil. Here I'm using a permanent marker to just go around the large shapes to help them stand out a little bit. Now at this point, I'm thinking I want to bring this page together, this background together even more. So I pick out a transparent acrylic paint color. And if you look at Amsterdam acrylic paint tubes, on the front it has a little square, which is the opacity indicator. And that's what I looked at when I picked out my color. I picked this beautiful blue. It's transparent. I added it to the page, and then I wipe some of it off with a paper towel or a baby wipe. And this just helps to unify the page. Next, I'm going to pick out some of the stamp designs to add to the journal page. And like my stencils, I just had them in a pile. And so I'm just picking out the ones that appeal to me in the moment. And I'm using my acrylic paint and that blender tool to add the design to the page. And the only note that I would add is that whenever I'm adding an element like a stamp or a large element, I want to make sure that I'm using either 3 elements or 5 elements or 7 elements, an odd number. It's more appealing to the eye. I recently purchased a new set of Woody Stabilo pencils, and so I had these on my work table as well. I love these. These are waxy crayons, and they go over pretty much anything. So I'm just adding some marks. I really liked that color, and I ended up picking another acrylic paint color and using this roller tool to just apply some marks to the journal page. Now, because I added that transparent color over the background, I lost a lot of that permanent marker, those loose lines over the large elements. So here I'm just adding the lines back in as well as doing some mark making. Now here's where things get a little interesting. I also had a pack of Sizzix Opulent Cardstock, and this included some glitter holographic paper. It's got a little bit of a shine to it as well as a pretty smooth surface. And so I wanted to stamp my focal onto this cardstock, and Because of the slick surface, I used a little bit of acrylic paint mixed in with a black acrylic ink, and it worked perfectly. Once it dried, I cut it out and I added it to my journal page using double tack dry adhesive film. As I mentioned earlier about having the odd number of elements, here I'm taking some of that holographic cardstock and making similar shapes to add to the page. Now, finishing touches include outlining the shapes with that permanent marker, as well as taking a Stabilo all pencil and going around that focal. Now, this is a water-soluble pencil, so I'm just going to add some water to it to create that shadow and help that focal to stand out a little bit more. I'm going to add some splatters, and then this page is pretty much done. Well, thanks for spending some time with me today. I hope that this journal page inspired you to try Sizzix Studio, these brand new sets that I have coming out, as well as looking at what you already have on your work table and around you and using what you have. So make sure you check out that Sizzix Studio website for more information on Sizzix Studio. Click on the hub.